Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. Just in case you were wondering where this episode is coming from today, I'm on the banks of the Parramatta River here at Parramatta, and it's a beautiful, glorious winter's day. Not a breath of breeze, it's mild. The rain has stopped. It's a little bit overcast, but that's okay. But it's so peaceful and so beautiful and so green down here. And it was only a couple of months ago that I was down the other end there at the ferry terminal when it was flooded, and it was during those massive storms that we had at the beginning of autumn. Anyway, let's go on a walk and talk today and have a chat about another book summary. I've got a day off work today, so I thought I'd just get out and about and just do the stuff that I really enjoy. And the 5am Club that I've initiated, which I've got over 1,000 vlogs, and I've made it my niche. I just can't believe that within a year of concerted, focused effort, I can make something mine. So I'll continue for as long as I can to deliver and develop material that is empowering, and it's something that we can use to grow and develop, and to live, learn and pass it on, and to help each other get through the morning, get through the day, and get through this tricky life that we all face. So today's book summary is entitled Do What You Are, by a triple authorship. There's Paul Tieger, Barbara Barron and Kelly Tieger. So 3 authors have put a book together, and it's all about your personality. So it's all about matching your personality with your career, with your passions, to make sure that we're able to get the most out of the opportunities that arise in our lives. So the authors kick off with a quote, just to get us thinking, just to get us focused, and to put us into the mood. And they remind us that the right job enhances your life. It is personally fulfilling because it nourishes the most important aspects of your personality. So I think what they're trying to suggest there is that having the right job that matches your values, matches your personality type, is great, and it brings you a lot of joy and fulfillment, because what it does is it allows you to fully express yourself, fully express your gifts, your skills, and it's something that we all need to take into consideration. So where does it all come from? The author then gives an example, and in order to hammer home this point, what they say here is that, have you ever tried to write down your name or to write a sentence using your non-dominant hand? And often when you try and do it, unless you're ambidextrous, which most of us aren't, once you've done it, then you look at the outcome and you're just embarrassed and frustrated by how bad it is. The authors say that this is an example that we should all be aware of, because the same thing happens from our career perspective. If you're a round peg in a square hole, if you're not connected properly, if your job doesn't allow you to express your gifts, your personality, then regardless of how hard you work, regardless of what you do, there's going to come a point where you look at the outcome and you just look at yourself and you realize that you're not designed. This is not you. You've just been living a lie. So, you know, and you realize that you're not aligned with the skills that you have, and the job is not going to get any better, and you're just going to be suffering and living in pain. So this book, the whole purpose of this book from these authors is to identify your personality type using the Myers-Briggs calibrations, so that you can align your career with your personality to ensure productivity, reaching potential, and enjoying happiness. So Myers-Briggs, I remember doing another book summary on Myers-Briggs, which wasn't all that positive about the Myers-Briggs results and how they're used. But this book here takes another path, and we'll just examine it and see where it leads us and what we can learn from it. So what they say here is that the Myers-Briggs categorization on personality is broken down as follows. It allows us to identify our personality type and look how you interact with everything around you. So it basically gives us an opportunity to know thyself. And that can't be all that bad, because Socrates, at the end of the day, an ancient Greek philosopher, talked about the importance of knowing thyself thousands of years ago. So it's not a new concept, and it's something that we can all benefit from. So where did Myers-Briggs, this calibration, this personality type test come from? The authors tell us that Carl Jung, back in 1920, had his philosophies. He was a psychologist, a philosopher, and an influencer back in the early 20s, and he came up with some models. To categorize personality types, and it comes in a number of letters. So people, you may be able to recognize these letters. The letters are E, I, S, I, T, F, or JP. So you basically get 4 letters, and those 4 letters put you into a category, personality category, which will allow you to understand yourself a little bit better, but it also allows you to understand other people better as well, because you're able to then, you know, subconsciously or consciously categorize them and try to understand what makes them tick, and see if it's consistent and if it matches your strengths in places. So the first category type that the Myers-Briggs formula talks about is an E or an I, and it says that people are either extroverted or introverted. Extroverted people are comfortable in groups and with other people, with noise, with fuss, whereas introverted people, according to this authorship, are people who tend to like to enjoy their own company or work alone, go solo, prefer silence, quiet. But they don't make any I guess, room there for the people who are ambiverts, because what I've read is that 10% of people are extroverted, 10% are introverted, but most people, the 80%, sit in the middle there, where we're ambiverts. And I see myself as an ambivert. I can be very extroverted at times. I can be very shy and introverted at times, but most of the times I can flip-flop between one and the other, depending on the situation and depending on the environment that I'm in. So the first one is whether or not you're extrovert or introvert. The second letter or second category is if you're a sensing, S for sensing type of person, or I for intuition. So the sensing sort of person is the one who is basically here and now, who's got a feel for things, and it's based on I guess evidence and reality. Whereas the person who has skills in intuition are the ones who have a feel for things. So the gut feel, you know how sometimes people say, look, I've got a gut feel that it's like this, or I've got a gut feel like it's like that. So one is using facts and the other one is using feel. But once again, there is a group that sits in between that who can use both gut and facts and blend them both together. But the Myers-Briggs will say that you're more dominant in one area than the other. So it's not saying that you're not one or the other. Myers-Briggs makes it, I think, fairly clear that you have a dominant sort of personality type, but you can blend into the other at times. But we're talking about the dominant thing at the moment. The third category is either a T or an F. And once again, it talks here about people being thinkers or people being feelers. So a thinker is a person who uses their logical, their rational mind to come up with ideas, whereas a feeler is a person who uses emotion, uses empathy, and is more in tune, has a greater emotional intelligence as opposed to the other sort of intelligence. So there's a leaning to one or the other. And the last category here is a J or a P. So are you a J for judgmental sort of person, or you're a P for perceiving? So the judges are the people who organise others, who want an organised way of getting things done. They want a specific order, they want clarity, they want consistency, they want everything to I guess be mapped out and fit into a plane. Whereas a P is somebody who enjoys going with the flow, flexibility. So you're either dominant in one area or the other, but depending on those four different categories that we talked about, it will determine and it will influence and it will impact how you deal with other people, how you deal with problems, and how you interact with yourself. So once you uncover, according to this author here, once you uncover your nature, the next step that we all have is to figure out how to use it to live life to the fullest. So the whole objective of this Myers-Briggs platform is to identify and work out how you operate, what makes you tick, and then to decide how you're going to use it to make improvement. The second key point to come out of this book from this author is where we need to look at the crossover that comes between your identity and what interests you notice in order to identify a potential job or a potential career that you could enjoy. After discovering your personality type, you will have a better idea of what your strengths and weaknesses are, is one of the points that the author makes. And you can use this to explore your options so that you're the right fit and that your job, your career, your passion match your calling. What the author suggests is that you write down how you can use your strengths in your new job, and try and express those strengths wherever possible, rather than trying to shoehorn yourself and your capabilities into your job. So try and leverage your strengths, manage your weaknesses, so that you can make the most of your career, is the lesson from that second point. And the last point that comes from this author is that we need to adjust our course, because interestingly enough, and I wasn't quite aware of this, but it makes sense now that I've thought about it, is that as you get older, your dominant factors, your dominant functions, the things that you were really good at when you were younger, change with time. We mellow, we learn, we become less, less excitable, because when we're young, we identify our dominant function or our most prominent parts of our personality. But as we age, auxiliary and tertiary functions come into view. And we see it. We see it with our families, we see it with our friends, and hopefully we see it with ourselves, that with the years we change, and hopefully we change for the better. But some people don't change for the better. They get crankier as they get older, they get more opinionated, they get less patient. There are so many other things that happen with time, and they could be psychological, they could be mental issues that are coming to the fore, they could be just the challenges of growing old and the years catching up on us. But the bottom line, according to the author here, is that you can make a change to your career to take advantage of these new found skills, these new auxiliary skills that you come up with, and learn how to leverage them. But in order to leverage them, you need to understand what they are and how they impact you and those around you. So I guess finishing up, I guess the big lesson that I get from this book here is there is a lot of things that we can learn about ourselves. There are things that we can learn and identify in our children to enable us to interact and interface with them better, our children, our grandchildren, our friends, our family, our partners, the elderly people in our lives. Because as we said, people change over time. And the things that were strong, the things that were guiding principles in our lives when we were younger, take a back seat at some point later on in our lives. So let's finish off. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where I come to you from the Parramatta, the banks of the glorious Parramatta River, the historic Parramatta River. And let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and most importantly, let's take some lessons from this book. This book on, let me just get to it again. Do what you are. So once again, it's a call to action for us to first know what our strengths and weaknesses are across a number of categories, i.e. determining what our personality type is, and then matching our personality type to the sort of career that we embark on, so that we can leverage our strengths and so that we can be a right fit in the organisation, the group that we get involved with, so we can add value as opposed to being a misfit, a square block in a round hole. Because I guess we've all been there at some point throughout our lives where you just know that you don't fit, and it's just painful. You just can't wait to get out of there, because you know that all the things that you do is a fake. You're just living a lie, trying to fit in to an environment which doesn't match your values, doesn't match your strengths, and doesn't agree with you. Your personality type, I guess, is one way of describing it. So I guess that's it. So I'll come to you again from a different location with a different message, a message of empowerment, where we can hopefully be the wings, the wind beneath our wings, and be the paddles that propel us forward. Just looking at the oars up there on the bridge, it's just a beautiful, beautiful image. And we'll chat again. Yassas, take care. Filakya from Jim's 5am Club, and bye for now.